Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ryan Lamar. I'm the host of the Youth Leaders in Wealth Management podcast. Today, I'm joined by Grant Montgomery, a financial advisor at Normandy Investments. And, Grant, how are you today?
Yeah, doing well. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you coming on. So, I just want to, we had a conversation last time where I got to know you a little bit better, your background as an Army guy, and your transition into becoming a financial advisor. So I just wanted to, start off the conversation with what made you pursue a career in the wealth management industry?
Yeah, I wanted to become a financial advisor for a few different reasons. And the number one is after I saw the power of building wealth beyond your income and your hourly or salary wages. I saw that there when I was younger. My mom actually introduced me to a financial advisor when I was 18. I started off with $1,000 in a brokerage account and went from there. And then I want to help other families achieve these same goals. It's complex. Our finances now are very complex. So if you can pay yourself first and put a little bit aside and not spend everything you earn, you can really build wealth without having to do besides doing the work for your actual wages. You can build wealth beyond that. And I want to help other people do that because I enjoy sitting down at a table with a husband and wife, with a couple, with their family, or with a business owner, and helping them solve their problems, identify problems and goals, solve those, and build wealth on that way.
Yeah, that's a great sentiment. Our country has kind of not done the American people justice in the sense that we haven't really educated the population on what they should do with the money, right? So, like, I just graduated high school, 3-4 years ago now, and they didn't teach me how to balance a checkbook or anything like that. So, part of the job as a financial advisor is becoming an educator, right? So being able to really like that type of work and understand it and be able to disseminate that to couples, business owners, families is such an important job.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned balancing the checkbook. When I was in high school, we did actually have a class where we were taught how to balance the checkbook. But as I see my kids now, they're not getting this.
Yeah, it's just a complete. There's no real like personal financial management classes, at least where I went to school. Maybe some do, and they're a little more innovative, but we can definitely do more as a country for that, certainly. So, speaking about, us as a country, obviously you served in the military. So I was curious, like, how does your experience in the Army contribute to your skills as a financial advisor?
It's another one where it relates to dealing with people, with other human beings, and their emotions. In the Army, we have all this technology, but it really boils down to people taking advantage of the technology, and the soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, the Guardians, all of them being able to understand and accomplish the mission. And so with that, you have to communicate with people. And it's not as simple as giving orders and people following them, although that is part of it. You have to understand where people are, where they are emotionally, physically, and what their strengths and weaknesses are. So there's a lot of human connections you have to make in the Army as a leader to be able to facilitate the mission. And so that's very similar in this capacity as well. I have to connect with people really well. I have to see what motivates them. And again, just like in the Army, different people are motivated by different ideas and different goals. So I have to quickly judge and learn what people are motivated by, what are their goals, and how do they get through life. So I can help them achieve their goals, so we can help plan them and achieve them and get that done. Also to build new relationships. It's very key in understanding people when I'm trying to build new relationships so I can help more families.
Yeah, helping families at the end of the day is the main goal, right? So being in the Army really taught you how to connect with people and lead people in the sense of, the Army is such a large unit to be able to get people to rally around a common cause is, like one of those, such an important aspect of leadership, right? So I'm sure that the Army has great systems in place to really teach someone how to do that. So, but my question kind of follows from that is how is it different leading people in the Army that, they're signed up to be there, they're ready to follow a mission, follow a greater cause than themselves. How does that translate to helping someone, increase their savings or increase their investment amount, in the sense that, preparing for their future, just maybe not a goal that they have in the forefront of their minds, but something that necessarily needs to be done.
Right. Yeah. Lots of similarities there. If someone joins the Army, but this still doesn't mean they want to do every single job that we have to do in the Army. Like,
Yes,
some of the
absolutely.
jobs are not as fun as other ones, right? So we have to find ways to motivate people. And again, people are motivated in different ways. So how can you connect as a leader in the Army? How do you connect to the people in your units to get them to get buy-in? Because you want buy-in on a mission. And as you know, when we really have buy-in on what we're doing, we're more invested, no pun intended, but we want to get to that goal, to reach that goal. And then now here in the real world, with people and their investments and building wealth for them, I need to get buy-in from them as well. I want them to understand, hey, this is what you can do, and this is how we're going to do it. And I want it to make sense to them. Because you don't want to invest in something that you don't understand. We're pretty much across the board.
No,
So
definitely.
want people to understand what we're doing and what is the path to get to their goal.
Yeah, it seems like it's a process of setting a goal, finding the path there, and communicating how that journey is going to go. So I appreciate the insight on that.
Right. Yeah.
So I wanted to get in a little bit to, what you're doing at Normandy. So what is the day to day, the week to week like? Is it mostly client meetings? Is there a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes? What does your roles look like?
Yeah. It's mainly dealing with clients in one form or fashion or the other, whether it's in person, over Zoom, or face to face, with new clients, helping them go through the process of getting set up and identifying what their goals are, or meeting them where they're at. That's the first thing, is meeting someone where they're at. And that's always a moving target. The game, it's not like a football game where the game ends. For us, the game continues throughout their life. So lots of time with new people, and then with current clients. And as they have life changes, whether it's kids, marriages, changing jobs, retirement, family members, of course, passing away, all of our major life changes that we go through, a lot of those will have some type of financial effect on you as an individual or you as your family. And those things are coming up with a lot of families. There's always something going on with one client here or there, divorces, marriages, all these major life changes that we go through. And so talking to them, making sure they're on track, and making adjustments as needed. Even without any major life changes, we're making adjustments. Things in the economy are changing. We're gonna make adjustments based on that as well. So it's a lot of staying in touch with people. And then of course there's some admin and paperwork or digital paperwork involved with that. But that's the main thing, is the human connection with people.
Yeah, the human connection is everything, right? Kind of leads into a question I had about the future of the industry. We have a lot of talks about artificial intelligence, and you've been around long enough to see the rise of robo advisors and those type of products. So, how do you feel about the possibility of, AI financial advisors? One argument I've heard against something like that is the lack of human connection, in the sense that when you're talking to a computer, there's no, empathy or emotional, any type of emotional connection behind what the words are. So how do you feel about that whole industry rising, and where do you feel like our place in that is, or where we're going?
Yeah, it's certainly important, and it's not, you can't avoid it. Like, technology moves on. We have newer phones every year practically. Technology continues to evolve, and we're going to take advantage of that. Advisors are going to use the technology. They're going to use AI or whatever the technology might be to help them best meet their clients' needs and goals and desires. And yes, it's definitely possible. You can, as an individual, you can use AI and other technology and do it yourself. and you can do that. What you run into are more complicated situations, and that's where you need someone to interpret what the technology is saying, right? We can't all go out and be surgeons, even though we can look it up on YouTube.
Yeah, that's a great point. You can't necessarily know exactly what to do just from asking a prompt, right? Like the internet's been around forever, but complex situations, even if computers get better understanding the nuances of that, it's still not a perfect solution, right? And can require more than one set of eyes. Like sometimes advisors, I'm not sure how Normandy is, but like maybe you have other people or specialists around you that may have a better understanding of the situation. If you're working on an estate plan, you're like, well, let me ask an estate planning concerning this question. Artificial intelligence may have a bunch of that, but they're not experts on everything as of right now. So, we'll keep seeing where that's going, and it's definitely going to be interesting.
Yeah, and that's a really good point you bring up on the estate planning. So many things factor into your overall financial portfolio. And the first one I like to talk about with people is cash flow management, okay? And then investment positioning, of course. And now we get into estate preservation and tax planning. All those things factor into your overall financial portfolio.
Certainly, yeah. I appreciate the insight on that. So kind of moving forward a little bit, I wanted to ask about how you stay up to date with financial trends. Is there certain news that you read, watch, maybe some daily newsletters, weekly newsletters? What is your
Yeah, lots of information. We're like everything else in the world, we're overloaded with information, overwhelmed with information. I'm in a few different groups where advisors get together and we discuss current trends and what's going on with the people we're working with. Just a couple of them off the top of my head. Michael Kitsis has a group that I'm part of. Amplified Planning is a group. Measure Slice Planners is a group, and I'm in a couple of other smaller groups of advisors where we get together either weekly or biweekly or monthly and discuss current problems and challenges and wins as well. This is what's working well. And then of course you've got lots of online publications and then several podcasts. Michael Kitsis also has a podcast. Carl Richards, Daniel Kopp, Sarah Grillo, Taylor Schulte, Libby Grewe, Thomas Kopelman and Jacob Turner, Matthew Jarvis, Micah Solansky. There are tons of podcast resources out there.
Yeah, there's so much, just such a vast amount of information out there. And one thing I've learned is, if you want to become an advisor specifically, like myself, there's so many resources specifically for advisors that are built. And that kind of a little bit inspired what we're doing with youth leaders, right? But just the first step before becoming an advisor, this is kind of what youth leaders is supposed to be like the training grounds for that. So I like how you guys have weekly, monthly types of groups where you communicate and talk about problems, which sounds really cool to me.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. They're all helpful, and it's different people in different groups, and so get a lot of different perspectives on situations.
So I wanted to ask you a little bit about challenges. Obviously everybody is forced to overcome challenges throughout their career, their life, in many different aspects. But what type of challenges have you overcome through your journey of becoming a financial advisor?
The first one is coming out of the military, and I served for what I call a long time, basically 21 years in the Army. So I thought I knew the Army culture very well. Well, the Army culture is obviously different from the culture in the real world. And in the Army, we focus on the team. The team does this, the team does that. In the real world, we have to switch that focus over to, I know how to do this, I know how to do that, I can solve this problem for you, I can help you talk through this goal in this situation. And that took a little time to get used to, of using, I guess, bragging maybe is not the right term, but just like, hey, this is the value that I can bring to the table literally when I'm working with people, and been able to not feel bad, because in the Army it was always my team, we did this, my team, we did that, and we never wanted to shine the limelight on, well, I was really good at this, or I fixed something. So now I had to make that switch. And then connecting with people. It's still the leadership approach, and people have different motivations, as I've said, but it's connecting with people on a different way now, a different level, it's a different, as we say in the Army, operating environment here now. And then third, I would say, is it's okay to fail. We didn't like to fail in the Army. That wasn't good when you failed at something, but it's okay to fail. You're going to learn from it, and obviously that happened in the Army as well. But we get a lot of growth. When you fail something, there's a lot of growth there that helps you take that and make it better next.
Yeah, growth is so important, and really you cannot grow without failure, right? It's like the concept of at the gym. If you're not pushing yourself to failure, your muscles won't grow. So it's the same way with your career, with your mind. It's just a different way to do it. So, like you said, I one of my best friends is at West Point right now. Being in there, they don't like to fail, right? And just like any branch of the military. But there is some good that comes from it, and understanding the transition away from failure being a terrible thing, or just not a great thing, to it being okay, to fail here, and really learn from it, as long as you take some good takeaways, right? So
Sure.
I appreciate the insight on that.
Yeah, and you're kind of in that situation too in the academic environment. Nobody wants an F in a class.
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not. But sometimes you make a mistake, you take a class you shouldn't, and you fail it, or you take a class you hate and go, I don't want to do this. Myself, I started out as a pre-med at Stony Brook University. I didn't fail any classes or anything, but it took me a few classes in that direction to realize that's not where I wanted to go, right? And that's a similar story with so many people. So it is important to find, if to fail or do something that you don't like, to know what you do want to do.
Yeah, that's right.
So, kind of transitioning away from that into more about, skills in financial advisory. What are some skills or qualities that you think are necessary to be a successful financial advisor?
It goes back to what we've been talking about for most of the conversation, is engaging with people, interacting, understanding, and relating to other people. That to me is the most important skill, because technology is great. Using technology is certainly important. Understanding a lot of financial background, certainly that's key as well. And you can learn that. The most important thing is caring about clients, caring about other people, and helping them. So you have to be able to understand and relate to other people and meet them where they're at. I can't stress that enough. And you're going to use the technology. You're going to do all those things, certainly. That's it's important, but it's not the most important thing.
Yeah. So would you say like empathy would be a good word to find, to really be able to relate with a client and
Oh yeah.
feel how they feel? Yeah. So
Yeah, empathy is so key. Is trying to put yourself in their shoes and feel whatever life things they're going through. New baby, a death in the family, feeling how they trying to put yourself in their shoes and feel that will help you be able to help them better.
do you feel like you've just gotten better at that with practice, or is there just a different way that you feel like you've gotten better at relating to people? Because it's hard sometimes. People just forget to take themselves out of their own mind and try to put themselves in someone else's shoes. It's a muscle that you have to work on, and a skill, just like anything else, right? So is it really just from experience?
It is going through those situations, and still when someone brings up a new type of situation that I haven't encountered, and then like it takes have to really think about that, and like, okay, how am I going to navigate this situation with this person so it's the best outcome for everybody, for them mainly, but for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate the insight on that. I agree that empathy is so important. To kind of give you a final question here is, this type of style, this podcast is really directed for people that are interested in going into the wealth management industry. what would be some advice that you could give to people like myself that want to become financial advisors, want to get into the industry, and are just looking for some steps forward while we're in school, or maybe just recently graduated, or like yourself, just got out of the military and want to start a career here? Is there some advice maybe that you have for each of those demographics?
Yeah, look, the first thing is look for certifications. There are so many financial planning related certifications that are available. Places like the College for Financial Planning, the American College, they have all these different certifications. Find one that speaks to you and that interests you, and go for that. I finished the Certified Financial Planner certification last year. I finished education for that a while back and then passed the exam last year. So I enjoy that. But there are other certifications that, as you're starting, that are not as in depth as the CFP certification. It's maybe a little bit better to start with, and then that gives you a lot more detailed education in some specific areas of the financial planning, and that'll help you to understand where people are coming from, where they're at. And then I would also say go somewhere where you could potentially be a paraplanner. Even administrative work. It's okay to start with administrative work because you're going to learn about how the back office systems work for people, because that can be a hassle for people. If that doesn't go smoothly, it can be a hassle. And we want things to be efficient as possible for the people we're working with, and for us too. So understanding the administrative side is important, and then understanding the planning side. Work with the planning side, and this is where technology is going to come into play. You're going to learn some of the different tools that we have for financial planning, and then that gives you the experience to build into working with families and business owners on your own down the road.
That's really great advice. I appreciate you giving us that. That's something that I want to definitely take into my account. The things like the CFP exam, and just sharpening those skills and making sure I'm ready to get there. And paraplanner, it's definitely something that I'm thinking about, right? To be able to completely understand the back office operations and give you a better understanding of what goes on through that whole system. So, Grant, I can't thank you enough for coming on today. This was great. I appreciate you having a conversation.
Yeah, it was my pleasure to be here, and thank you for the invite. It was a great talk. I enjoyed it.
I appreciate it.